Welcome, everybody. I can't wait to be sharing more on this topic. It's super empowering and powerful and really essential, which is all about what to expect when you are awakening and how to cultivate your spiritual gifts and really navigate that dark night of the soul so that you can move from feeling overwhelmed and disempowered or unfulfilled. Like for me, I remember I just wanted to feel at peace and happy. Like I was just like so fed up with my life and I was just so overwhelmed. I didn't know what to do. And then I felt very lonely right after my awakening because I didn't have anybody that understood to talk to. And I realized that my old life, pre-awakening experience just wasn't working for me. And I realized very deeply and clearly that things had to change. Life had to change, but I had no clue how to do life differently. So I got more fearful and more scared and overwhelmed. And I just started praying and wanting to just be happy and at peace. So I know that period of time well. And I know some very easy, simple steps to, first of all, help understand it and navigate it. Because I think satisfying the mind is an important aspect of it. And then also to help you understand where you are within it and how to move if you're still in the space of feeling overwhelmed or frustrated or exhausted or feeling disempowered in your experience. We can shift that. And I think that there's always different levels of these awakenings. Our first one tends to be like jolt us out of an unconscious stupor in a sense, or like usually it's kind of massive pattern interrupt really that happens that is most of the time jolting for people. But once you learn how to use the tools and awarenesses in life, it's not that life still won't happen. It will, right? We have many different levels of spiritual awakenings, but the more tools and processes and awareness that we have, the easier it is to navigate. And the more quickly we can be into the joy and really transform the opportunity of transformation that's available. So I can't wait. I love talking about this because I know that especially, it can be exhausting and overwhelming, and maybe it might even be confusing. So let me know if you are here and if you felt like you've been in a dark night. And we're going to kind of talk about a few things. I want to share 3 essential steps, really 3, pretty much 1, 2, 3, break it down so you can kind of see where you're at and see where you're at as you might be transitioning over again. It's not always super linear, although I think the initial bigger awakenings can be broken down pretty directly in terms of knowing where you are and where you need to go so that you can start thriving and feel peace and hope and really turn the difficulty into triumph. And then I'm going to talk about what kind of signs you can look for from your spirit team a little bit, kind of talk a little bit more about the gift and the shadow aspects and the pitfalls and how embracing this time can actually turn into your biggest gift if you're still feeling like you're overwhelmed as an empath or sensitive. And then also how to start moving through from getting that spontaneous intuitive insights and information and signs to a little bit more on-demand insights to give you next steps, okay? And so I want to preface this by saying everybody's on their own spiritual journey and time frame and path. And so we want to just know that it's not a competition, and some of it sometimes in places take a little longer and some are quicker, and it's our own journey within that. So be gentle with self and look at yourself with kind eyes and just know that you are here, which to me, you're already past the hardest part. If you're in a group like this, you're already kind of into the second step of things, at least, right? If not more. So you're in a dark night now. Oh, I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that you're here. And big love, because I know it can be feeling lonely. And so leaning into community support is also huge. So let's dive in. So I want to start just by talking about the dark night a little bit, right? A dark night of soul happens and it occurs. It's an awakening, right? When we are called to go into deeper levels of alignment and self-love. Right. And sometimes, especially the first time, and even not only the first time, things happen because these awakenings come as in life that could come through the loss of a loved one. It could come through the loss of a job. It could come through a health crisis, right? We're not immune as human beings. We're going to be having things in life that we learn to navigate. But when we start to look at it from this perspective that these are all opportunities of healing and growth, and if we heed that call, we will grow and navigate exponentially. I mean, really, this is why we incarnated on earth, is to grow and evolve, not to stay stuck in suffering. But in those initial phases, pre-awakening, most likely you were in a level of suffering, right? In some form or fashion. It's like when we're in a dark night, it's like there's been a dissonance between who we are as a soul, who we are in truth, who we came to be, what our opportunity of experience can be, and what we're actually living. And when that dissonance gets far, the soul kind of says, all right, we attract through the spirit. It's kind of like, well, we got to do a little pattern interrupt, right? It's kind of, we attract that pattern interrupt because we need to shake it up a bit, right? And it's those big times that we have these opportunities to make big shifts and big changes for the better. Now, I know that it can feel a little worse before it gets better, especially initially, because you've likely stuffed down and repressed a lot. We have to do a lot of ignoring and repressing and numbing and disconnecting in order to live in a misaligned state, which is clearly part of what awakening is. It's that awareness of you are in some level of misalignment and you're being called into a deeper level of alignment, which also includes a level of healing and self-love, right? And so we don't know what we don't know till we know. So whatever's happened, whatever's brought you here, just know that, great, you're into that. You've already gone through the first step, right? And it gets easier. The more tools and processes and support that you have and the more awareness you have, you get to navigate. So it doesn't always have to be so painful and difficult. It's just most of the time, the first time it is, because we're unconscious, okay, to this whole experience, that we have choice, that we don't have to be victim in our life. So we've been living and operating out of our power, feeling that life was happening to us, not realizing that we can change it. And so that is an exciting thing. And so the very first step, there's 3 essential steps, really, when I break it down, if I want to get very simple, is that first step, is like that awakening. It's the choice that your spirit has decided to have the courage to go deeper. And you may not even know that consciously as a human when this happens, but you already did decide that. You decided this before you incarnated, honestly. And how quicker or fast we make the process is up to our choices as a human being. But without awareness, we don't realize we have choice. And so having that awakening is that awareness that you have choice, right? And so you're being called to look at your life in all different areas and notice. And it's going to be different for people. Sometimes it's about health choices. It could be about letting go of addictions. It could be about letting go of toxic relationships. It could be about letting go of the past and just knowing self-love. It could be many different things, right? But at the end of the day, when this has happened, because everything happens as your soul's always a little ahead of the human body, right? Because spirit makes leaps like that. Your soul and your body your human self has already made the agreement, and then we kind of forced that action because we weren't taking those steps on our own, likely out of fear, staying in things out of fear, not having the money, not knowing how, not knowing we deserve better, those types of things. And so we have to we agree to this jolt. And that gives us a choice. And then we start to learn that we do have a choice. So that first step that's essential is awakening. And if you're here, you've had that. You've had a level of I desire more, I want more, even if it's just, I want to have more peace in my life. That's what my first request was. And then the synchronicities started, right? Then the answers to my prayers started coming in the form of synchronicities. And I would have not even had that language or wording. I had no idea about any of this stuff initially, which most of us don't initially, until this happens. And even if we do have them, we just may not have been applying certain processes, or maybe just didn't have the tools or the support to begin to decide that we can take action on them, right? So I'm going to share more about that in a minute. And so that's kind of that first struggle, right? And then now we have a desire to have more peace, more joy, more fulfillment, less financial struggle, less health struggle, whatever it is, we desire something more. Okay. And that is your soul showing you that there is more, and to remind you of that, right? But then we start the seeking phase, which I would kind of lump as phase 2. And this can be long and short, it's dependent on us. Each person's different, and that's fine because we all process in different ways. And some people will stay in the seeking phase for their whole life or for many years, suffering unnecessarily. So you don't have to stay in this stage for a long time, but sometimes we all unfold differently until we decide that enough is enough, and we're willing to have that confidence and courage to just do the inner work, because it's not for the faint of heart either. But to me, the pre-awakening stage, or the staying in the dissonance, or staying in things that are out of alignment and not really honoring my higher truth of who I am and what I deserve and my joy, and robs me of that joy and happiness, it becomes harder and harder and more painful. So yes, we have to do deeper work, but it's actually liberating, and it doesn't have to take a long time. Right? So during that seeking phase, you've asked, and now you're starting to probably notice the signs. So let me know if this is making sense for you. I think sometimes we got to satisfy this mind, right? And then we want to know the steps to take. So then the seeking stage is when you start reading books. For me, I read every self-help book in about 9 months' time, and I was like, light bulbs clicking. I started going from like overwhelmed, having no clue, to feeling a little hope, to feeling more inspired, to actually maybe not fully seeing my outer world change yet, but understanding that I have the power to change, right? And then connecting with my spirit guides and my angels and realizing that I don't have to do it alone. And then, you know, kind of like the seeking stage. And then I started taking meditation classes and I started learning how to develop my psychic gifts, right? So that's like all kind of part of this process. It's not so linear that it's like working and not. It's, of course, there is a phase, and the seeking phase is when we begin to take our power back. It's when we begin to be able to understand that we desire peace, love, and fulfillment more than we desire the pain or the fear that held us there. Right? When we decide that when I decided the pain and emptiness and fear of not fulfilling my life purpose was when I was able and willing to actually stake the claim and get over my fear of public speaking and invest the cash and the time and the energy to now start really taking action, even though I thought I was for several years prior. I was kind of dabbling, more like a little hobby when I felt like it, you know, because I was afraid. But when I took that, boom, right? We have many factors of many times of opportunity of growth, right? My first one was not knowing anything. Like I told my dark night in the day one, right? Having the car accident and frazzled and codependency and all the things, and unhealthy relationships, right? And then, you know, I had another one when it was like, I'm going to have my purpose, right? So we have different levels of these iterations, and this still all applies. So when we're in the seeking stage, we're asking for that difference, and we start to recognize that we have the power. We do have power. We may not have the answers, but we feel hopeful that we can make the changes, right? That life can be different and that we deserve it. And part of this takes courage and commitment and self-responsibility. So this is where we have to take that self-responsibility and decide that letting go of not that the person, if they mistreated us, was okay, but forgiveness is and letting go and taking self-responsibility is saying, okay, I'm going to let go of the past and the toxic and the heavy and the pain and the anger and the blame, because I don't want it to rob me of my peace and my joy, right? I'm willing to like move on. So there is a level of healing and letting go that's part of this spiritual path journey that really never ends, but it does get easier. Initially, it might feel more intense because now it's like right in our face. We had been ignoring it until the dark night happened. Now we can ignore it, but now we're like, oh crap. Right? And then we start seeking. And then this is where, let me know if you've had these like numbers, angel numbers, feathers. You start to go, oh, you know, you start getting books and you're like, oh, the power. I remember The Secret was one of the first books, you know, and The Power of Now, or was another one that was a little bit further, but Power of Intention, I loved, by Wayne Dyer. Like these were all the kinds of books, and it got me very excited, and it started making me click to know that I really did have ability to change this, right? I feel like I've been a seeker too long. Absolutely. Well, I'm so glad you're here, my friend. I'm going to keep going on this, right? We're going to get to the next one, because people do stay stuck in seeking. And the reason why is because they hadn't been yet ready to take that deeper level of responsibility, self-responsibility, and dig deep into the fears and the doubts that are there that's required. And so part of that is that self-responsibility. And it's not to be hard on ourselves about that. It takes what it takes. And you're here now, and there's always opportunity to shift at every moment, right? And so, but during that period of time, we're kind of moving through that. And then there comes a point when we're ready. And when we're ready, you've heard that saying, right? When we're ready, the teacher appears, right? Or that's what happens when we get out of our way enough. We might want it, but we're still fighting for our fear enough that we won't let it happen when we're keeping ourselves stuck in a seeking mode, right? And so once we kind of decide that our desire for more is more than our fear, then we've stepped into this deeper alignment that allows us to see the answers, allows us to attract the answers and the people and the support and the teachers. Really, they say when you're ready, the teacher appears, right? I'm sure you've heard that, and it's true. And it happened for me time and time again. And that first teacher might be a book. First teacher might be, you know, this free series that I've done, right? Those are all powerful teachers and steps that you're seeking on. And at a certain point, there's more, right? That's when we got to start doing that deeper inner work and actually changing. You know, Einstein says the definition of insanity is trying to do the same thing over and over and over, expecting a different answer, right? Or a different reality. So you have to start doing things differently. And that's step 3. When you're ready to come out of the seeking and you're ready to actually really own that shift for yourself in the most empowered, exalted state at that time, you have to start doing different things. You have to start living life differently. Does that make sense? And that is why I am so passionate about the work that I do. I love this larger space where I've done this series for you because so many people are seeking and people find and they get so many answers and healing. Let me know if you got some healing or answers and insights during our time together. I love people having the epiphanies and light bulbs go off, right? I love being a catalyst of hope and empowerment and healing and support during that phase, because it can feel very, very lonely and overwhelming, right? And I also know that a lot of people, not the majority perhaps, but a lot of people, if you're in this space of, I'm ready and I'm tired and this has all been clicking and you get nervous excitement, well, that's exactly why I've created the deeper level programs that I do, because it takes a deeper level of commitment from both the student and the teacher, really, to learn tools and processes step by step. I teach you how to do it differently. First, by how to manage your energy, how to not absorb energy, how to clear the root cause, how to heal the past. I support you with healing that. And then I teach you how to do it for yourself. And then at the same time, we're activating new things. So like you get this literal step-by-step alchemical container, and so much can change in a 3 months time. People's minds are blown. I have pages and hundreds of testimonials for people who were ready and they stepped in. It doesn't have to take long when we start to apply new ways of thinking, when we start to apply deeper levels of awareness and healing, when we start to apply new ways of doing things and living life, right? And so it's not the only container and tool to do and use, but it's a very powerful one, especially if you resonate with me and you're like, okay, I'm done with my seeking stage, I'm ready for more. Well, then this is like, could be a powerful opportunity. And so that is the deeper level of really taking life by the reins and saying, you know what, I'm taking my power back. I'm going to do it differently. I'm going to learn how. And we all start where we start. And that's okay, right? And we have people that are brand new in there. And we have people who are seasoned, hitting another round, wanting to go in their purpose work. Because I'll tell you what, when you go into wanting to actually stand in your power and live your purpose, a whole nother layer of healing comes up, right? So it doesn't end, but guess what? You learn tools and processes to make you navigate easier rolling hills, as opposed to like feeling just in the depths of despair for so long, right? And so those are the steps. You awaken. Now that's the first step. You're all there. You wouldn't be here. You're seeking. That's amazing. I have been giving lots of support for that. And then there's the doing. It's the courage and the decision to take new action, to be done with those patterns and start really digging into that deeper healing, right? And that's how I can deeply support you. Does that make sense? Einstein was probably a genius. Yeah, probably. I've heard that Einstein quote a lot, which means more and more now. And so I do want to continue going a little deeper in this, like this experience of the gift and the shadow, right? So another aspect to kind of approach this conversation about the awakening, because some of you are probably in this newer seeking stage, right? The shadow, I think most of you know, part of the shadow of your gifts is experiencing all the fear and all the pain and all the overwhelm and the emotions of yours and others in your body, right? And in your life, where you feel like life's happening to you and you're just so overwhelmed that you just numb, disconnect, and check out, right? Which is how I lived a big chunk of my life, not even knowing I was just trying to survive. And where's the wine? Where's the food? Got to do it again. And I was just on this perpetual chaotic spin until I had an accident, right? Woke up, seeked peace and happiness, was afraid, didn't know how, followed the synchronicities, which is kind of falling into the seeking step of asking for more and then seeing the signs. So that's where validation. So if you've been starting to get validation through numbers and angel feathers and things like that, and you're following it, it gets exciting. You start to move out of hopelessness into hope, right? And that is an exciting and important phase of where you're starting to take the reins and shift your energy. But then there's so much more than that, right? Because most people will start to say, okay, but how do I heal the root? Or how do I actually know what they mean, right? So when you're getting to the gift aspect of your gifts, you start to just, when sensitives learn to ground their energy and heal the pain so they can be present with their gifts. Because if there's too much pain pinging in your body and chakras and your aura, you can't really get to the gift aspect of your gifts, which is your psychic and intuitive abilities, consistently, because it's too painful to be there for very long. And we're mostly out of our body a little bit, right? So we can't manifest things into their physical reality. Much change, at least, right? Mentally, but we got to start doing in order to actually bring about change in our world and change in our being. And so but the exciting thing is that it can happen. So once you start to learn to, ground your energy and clear and start to release and let go and liberate yourself from the pain and the limiting beliefs and the cycles you've been in, because now you're done with it, you're going to do something different. Right. And now you're learning how by following your synchronicities, right? By being in a series like this is a beautiful, I would say, symbolism of you having an intention, you following your guidance, and you being here and getting something you needed that supported you, even if it's just one epiphany or aha from one of the videos, or even right now, right? Then that's you got something, right? And that's amazing. And so you'll keep seeking and things will keep coming, and it's up to us to see it, receive it, and take action on those things. Now we can stall ourselves out seeking for days if we are allowing those fears to stop us. So it kind of becomes a tipping point of doing differently, even though it's scary. And that'll be something that you'll get better and better at. So when you start to get into your gift aspect, the shadows, you learn how, you know now how to deal with it. You're no longer absorbing the world. You recognize your energy from theirs. You're starting to feel more comfortable in your body because you're letting go of the pounds of heaviness that you've been carrying from the past and from others. And you start to then connect with your heart and your excitement and that conscious creator ability that we all have to change our life and to create whatever we want. We start to connect with our soul and go, oh my gosh, my desires, and I can see this now. And my intuition is guiding me. I don't have to know how. In fact, better if I get out of my own human way, because I make more problems and effort that way. But I can let my higher self and my spirit team guide me. The universe is always there. It's always guiding me. It's always supporting me. It was waiting for me to say yes to life. Yes to healing, yes to opportunities, right? And that's when things get very, very fun. And so that is the type of signs you want to look for. And of course, then people ask, well, how do I get from spontaneous information to receiving insights and intuitive demand on demand? Well, you develop your skill set, right? You have to continue doing the deeper healing work to unclear the blocks of our chakras and things that may be making it too painful for you to want to be there consistently and proactively. And you start to learn how to do it. You start to cultivate that gift. Nothing in life happens without practice and consistency, right? Or without tools and processes. Nobody gets to be a black belt in karate the first day, right? They got to go through, and then they can break that brick or that piece of wood, right? But without the tools, processes, and trainings, they wouldn't have gotten there, right? Same with anything. And so with your intuitive gifts, we all have them, but we have to be willing to practice and cultivate and learn how. And so that is where I get really, really excited, is for those people that are like, I'm done seeking, I'm ready for more. And so that is the container of opportunity of the Unleashed program, which is first beginning with the Energetic Mastery Foundation tools, running energy, clearing energy, learning how to not be a sponge, recognizing other people's energy from your own. It's only then that you can have a clear, consistent channel. And it's only then that you're going to actually enjoy walking through life, because then you're not going to be overwhelmed. Right now, the superpower part begins, right? When you get to start to be like, oh, this is fun. And now I want to learn how to do this. And so the Unleashed portion is the energetic step-by-step protocols of how you can consistently create intuitive insights. But it takes cultivating and practicing, cultivating and practicing. And that's why we promise 3 practice sessions a week, but we only ask you to go to 1, but you can also, meet on your own time. But some students love to go to several, and those ones are going to get deeper healing. And guess what? All of these tools are not only about your psychic gifts, it's about, how do I start to uncover my family line programming, my past life karmic patterns, my limiting beliefs that I had the wool pulled over my eyes, the core root cause of why this pattern keeps happening. Like, people always want to know, well, how do I stop it from happening? How do I stop the energy cords? Well, you got to get inside yourself. It's an inside job. It's an inside job. But I'm going to show you how to do it, right? For those people that are ready, that is something I want to invite you to. I just lost my job. Sometimes that can be the biggest blessing. Maybe your job was just an energy sucker. As long as we don't let this fear get in our way of it, guess what? The next thing is always right there. The point of alignment for the next better thing is always there. And that might have been the first step of letting go and creating space. Manifesting, often the first step is not a desire. It's often the desire could be there, but it's about letting go and creating space for the change to occur. So look at it as a blessing, and know that no matter what happens, there's an opportunity of immediate alignment every second of the day. And there's always a way to align to that next thing. We just got to get out of our fear and head in order to see it and attract it. And it can be very quickly. And so the seeking stage for people can be long and it can be short. And this is why people who have gone through the course experience a tremendous amount of healing and awakening and empowerment in a very short period of time, because it doesn't actually have to take long. And we're approaching it from three perspectives, which is massive healing, which I support each week with energetic healing. And then you learn tools and processes to apply for yourself forevermore, consciously, to create, to clear your patterns and fears that will come up down the road, because they will. And then you also get the activation support of the high level activations of your DNA and awakenings, which connects you more with your soul and activates your psychic and intuitive gifts. And then you practice. And in the practice, you clear your root causes of all the things with your partner, because they have them too. Right. And so it becomes this powerful container of transformation. And people at the end will be saying things like, oh my, like they can't even believe it. I came in here for this and I got that and so much more. Mostly what's exciting is when they feel empowered and they learn more about themselves and they've dropped pounds of pain, literally. People let go of addictions. They've let go of disempowered thinking. They've let go of city in their life. They've let go of wounding, deep wounding, right? Real wounding that is from loss, from grief, from abuse, right? And they start to find their voice and they start to find their empowerment and their self-love and their worthiness and their truth, that they are a conscious creator, and they start to learn how to actively do that. And that makes me so happy. I think you can tell, right? I get so excited. But that requires much more than I can do in a large forum setting like this, because it requires both me to show up 100% with a clear system, protocol, and container of safety and support. And it takes a person being willing to go in and trust that process and go deep within themselves in order to, and then apply it. And of course, you get lifetime access, so you get to redo it over and over. I can't pay that much. Well, you know what? I've had a few people reach out. We can extend the payment plan for people. I work with people. You have to put in, right? Because I think that's how people bust through their manifesting blocks. But we are able to extend the payment a little longer. So there's still a payment plan, but we can get the monthly a little lower for you if that's helpful. I'm not here to just have everybody join who can't, and I want to help as many people as I can. And there is financial exchange with that, right? Which is actually going to serve you. I've watched people go from busting their manifesting blocks because they put that intention out to their angels and guides. They wanted to join. It was aligned. They got out of their way and started manifesting some miracles. And they asked me how, maybe could I do a slightly lower monthly? And actually during the pandemic, 2020 was the first time I even extended a payment beyond the program. And they said, if people are very committed and there feels like an energetic yes for them, then I can extend the payment about to 12 months and make that a little bit lower monthly for you. Just reach out and let me know if that would be helpful. And a couple of people have reached out and they asked, and guess what? They received, and they've gotten themselves in the door. And you get treated the same. You get all the bonuses and everything too, for sure. So anyways, there's many ways. And if you don't know how, be willing to start asking. And if it's not me or this round or this thing, or maybe you're like, yes, I resonate with you, and it's not feeling like your next step, then just keep seeking and keep applying and keep watching the synchronicities, and you will be guided. And at a certain point, you're going to have to invest some time and energy and some deep devotion and move through some fears to actually do the different inner work so that you can take new action, because otherwise things won't change. And that's why people stay with things not changing for years or lifetimes often, right? Does that make sense? Rebecca says, I've gained so much amazing sisterhood, and others can get from me and from doing the program. We still in touch. They actually get me. I know there's so much healing just in the community and getting to have soul family that you can now forevermore. I see people helping people years after the program, still supporting each other as they start to grow their businesses and do their purpose. Like, I just love the ripple effect that continues after. Yes, that makes complete sense. Oh, awesome. Let's see. I'm thankful for Jen and her program. Got me back on my path and living my purpose. Penny, congratulations. Max says it's a beautiful community space. Thank you. Yes, it's all about that. And it's just about when you're ready, right? When you're ready to, we have to be ready to let go of our excuses and our fear. We have to be more committed to wanting more for ourselves and knowing we deserve more for ourselves, and to begin to take the action that will be through your comfort zone. Like when people step in, they're like, I want to do it, but I'm feeling scared. Is that normal? It's like, absolutely. It means it's probably a real big yes, right? Like, we have to, because it's the fear, all the things that you're going to be healing and clearing in the program start to bubble up, your ego, your fears, all the things that you're going to be actually looking at and willing to confront at a deeper level. And it doesn't have to be painful or long, things move through. And yes, sometimes things are emotional, but you know what? The commitment to wanting to feel better and happier is more than that fear. And then that's what happens. And usually once you say yes, you immediately start feeling better. It's almost like, oh my gosh, I know I'm going to be dealing and facing things I haven't done before, but guess what? You have to do it alone. And I think that's what also makes this very powerful, being in community and being in a group container and having somebody supporting you, right? There's superpower in that. So I just wanted to share a little bit, because I know that sometimes people are new in here to their journey, or maybe you're not necessarily new on your journey, but you're just at a deeper stage of your journey. And I just wanted to be able to share and give you some inspiration and hope to know that you are powerful, you are worthy. You at any moment know how much despair or how screwed up or how much debt or how much whatever you're in at the moment, there's always a point of alignment to something more. And we get to choose that, and we have to keep choosing that. It's not like a one and done choice. It's a commitment to and a devotion, right? To your path, to your purpose, to your healing. But it's so much easier than the alternative of staying stuck and miserable and disconnected from ourselves and from life. So I don't promise that it's easy, but I honestly do believe it's harder. Once you've awakened, it becomes harder to stay stuck than it does to have the courage to move through it, because there's really no other way but through, right? But the through can be a matter of one meditation, one day, a couple of weeks, right? There's so much opportunity. It doesn't have to take long. It's our resistance to the feeling that we start to try to repress and shove down that creates the suffering and extends our healing, right? And so I just want you to know that there is opportunity there for you. I want you to help bust through these blocks and fears. And I know it takes confidence and courage. And, the angels really did whisper that, hey, a lot of people are going to be going through awakening. This was, about right when 2020 really started. And so that's when I started being able to actually offer. Normally, when I had a 3-month program, there was an in full or 3 months. It makes sense, right? I'm giving you everything up front. So it's really a good faith gesture that you continue. And karmically, majority of the time, people I tend to attract people who really want to, and I want to support you, right? And so I've been able to keep doing that, and it's been really liberating and life-changing, and help people then sometimes go from having to go on a more extended plan for the level 1 and then manifesting in full payments for level 2, if you want to go on, but just know you don't have to worry about level 2. I just mentioned that because I know many people have created that miracle, right? Or been able to create money miracles and move through their blocks, or be able to move into their purpose work, or be able to get podcast and speaking gigs, or be able to have the courage to start doing video the first time. I mean, everybody's got their own thing for sure that they bust through, but financially, when people take a risk and a leap of faith that they know is aligned and they trust the universe, that's what calls in a shift, right? I've done it for myself many, many times. I'm one of those people manifesting level 2. I know, Max, I think that's probably why it came top of mind, right? And it's always so exciting because you can do it over and over again for other things you want. You want to buy a house, you want to go on a vacation. Guess what? You've just opened up your ability to know you're not limited. You're not limited by your current situation, and you're deciding to change it. And there's nothing more empowering. Feel the pressure, but know something is better coming. That's really good. Stay focused, stay open, stay seeking, stay asking for the signs and the validation, right? I told myself I couldn't afford it this time, but I keep getting drawn back. So I'm going to remain open. Amazing, Pamela, reach out. People have been surprised when we've had a conversation. Sometimes a couple of things I think, oh, I want to, but I don't get paid until the couple of days after it starts. Well, reach out. You might get a miracle. I might be able to say, hey, well, we can extend that. If you want to agree to that and we get things in terms and you need that a little bit of extra time, I can do that. Or like I said, we can extend a little bit longer payment arrangement if that would support you to make the payment a little lower as well. Jody says, Jen's course is 100% amazing, life-changing. Thank you. I appreciate it. Scholarships. I haven't felt called to do scholarships in this program for a few reasons. But my version of that is extending the plan well beyond my delivery of the full enchilada, which as a content creator, most people won't do. So that's how the angels told me, because actually I believe and I want to support people in busting through their money blocks as well, because there is something deeper when you put skin in the game. There is. And it's not to say that I don't do other things, like there's other things maybe, but this course, for reasons I need to know that you're also ready to move through fears and really stake that commitment. And so that's why I offer the hey, if you can make your first payment of, then I'm willing to know that the content that you're going to get in this first month is going to help you continue. And people have, and people do. And guess what? Now I haven't said, oh, because I don't buy it. I know that you can break through that. Right. I know that you can break through that. And so that's kind of right now why, and it's an intense journey. It's not for the faint of heart, right? It's not for the faint of heart, because you have to be willing to look at yourself. And so it takes a level of commitment. So for now, that's how it's been explained to me. And that's the way that I have chosen to kind of put myself out there and trust the process, because that's where I was guided. And I've been doing that now for a while. And I'll continue to offer as needed the 12 if that's going to support, right? So reach out. Okay. Jen's program and tools reached places no other modality was reaching. It helped me set boundaries and heal my family trauma. Oh my gosh, I love that, Rebecca. And that's the thing, is like people get to say, oh my gosh, I was able to go to my family Thanksgiving and not drink wine and feel good. Not that drinking wine, a glass of wine, I'm not judging that at all. But her sense was, normally I have to like give me the bottle before I go, and now I can show up and like enjoy and not take in and take on, right? Or I can do things that previously exhausted me and it isn't. Right? Or they're starting to see their life change and create miracles, or they're standing up and speaking their truth. They're letting go of painful things that have kept them stuck, right? Like massive healings, feel strong in my truth. My boundaries are strengthening. I'm loving myself more, right? Like it's just like boom, boom, boom. People just start like popping like empowerment bubbles all over the place. And it's so fun. This is resonating. Nobody nodding my head to everything you're saying, Anna. Oh my gosh. Well, I hope you reach out, or I hope you join us, or reach out if you have questions, because it would be perfect for you. Big love. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing the work. As you do your healing work for you, you actually are helping those around you as well as the collective at large. And I know it's not for the faint of heart. I know it's hard to be the first one awake in the family, or maybe the only one awake in your crowd. But thank you for being here, and stay plugged in to the community, whether you move forward or not. This is a beautiful community, and I will continue to support on the larger scale, as I know not everybody's ready to step in to the next level, right? Or that maybe this isn't the next step for them. But I do want to offer that for those that it is, because I know that the people that have joined the program are like, thank you for having that program. It's changed my life, right? And so I know that it's going to speak to those that it's here to serve. So I hope that helps you. We'll talk soon. Bye for now.